Hey guys, it's Wendy with Fab Craft Some More, and I'm going to show you how to make a very simple Valentine card using a project file from Cricut Design Space. So I have opened up Design Space in my browser. I'm working on a MacBook and I use the Firefox browser, and I'm going to come over here and open up a new project. And then now I'm on the canvas. And from the canvas, I am going to choose projects over here on the left-hand side of the canvas. So just click projects and all sorts of projects that are available in Design Space will pop up. I want to go over here and I'm going to type into the search box Valentine. Click enter and look at all of these projects in the Valentine files. You will see the little green A on projects that are available if you have the Cricut Access subscription. If you just got a new machine over the last couple weeks for Christmas, you should have a free trial of Cricut Access, and you can use any of these files and create as many projects as you want to during your trial period. Once your trial period ends, then you will need to either subscribe to Access or purchase as you go. So I had found a really good card. I'm going to scroll through here and find it again. But you can see there are so many to choose from. Now if there is not a little green A or you do not have access, you will need to purchase the files to use them. But they are usually very inexpensive, and once you purchase a file, you are able to use that file as many times as you want. It's yours to keep once you purchase the file. So we're going to do this very simple file. It is included in Cricut Access and it is the XOXO Kiss card. We are going to click on that and it's going to sort of pop up this window that has a couple photos that we can look through. It's going to show you what it might look like on your computer in Design Space when you open it. It's also going to give you the materials that you would need and the tools that you might need to assemble it. So you can read through all of the instructions. You want to make sure that you have your cardstock chosen, and it does help to read through the directions. This is a very simple card, so really all it requires is your cardstock and your adhesive, but some of them get a little more detailed, and I have started a project without reading the instructions first, and I could get to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't have that, and I either have to put it off to the side and go to the store and buy what I need, or go rummage around and find it. So do read the directions before you start any projects. It's just a time saver. Down here at the very bottom of the directions, it shows you what fonts or images are used in your project. And so this is going to create an envelope. It's also going to create the card. So I'm going to, just so I can show you a little bit more about how this works, I'm going to choose Customize. If you're very familiar with Design Space and you already know how to create and make this, you can just jump right on in and click Make It. But we're going to go to Customize, which will then open up the project in Design Space on our canvas. And here you will see we have the envelope and the card. They're kind of layered on top of each other, but I'm going to click right onto the red part of the card and we can move that over to the side. We can click on the envelope and we'll move that over. So these are two separate things right here. They are not grouped together, they are not attached, they are not welded to each other. I am going to click on the card again and we're going to go over here to the layers panel and sort of take a look. Now, I'm going to click on the canvas so nothing is selected, and you'll see in the layers are all the same color. Once I click on the card, it highlights or turns the layers that are associated with the card a slightly different color. And so then you can see your different layers. These layers are attached, and it tells you right here which things are attached. And you can open or close that group if you already know what's in there and you don't need to see it. You can click on the little arrow and it will bring those up. but I want to take a look here and show you what we've got. So there's a score line over here right down the center of the card. Score lines make paper projects easier to fold and you get a nice crisp fold. If you do not have a scoring stylus or you do not have the maker and the scoring wheel, you can fold it by hand, you can use a bone folder, or you can use a scoring tool. So we will go over that when it's time to fold the card. But if you don't have a scoring tool, you don't have to worry. This is a very simple fold, and I will walk you through being able to do that if you do not have a scoring tool right now. So the next layer is the red layer. Okay, that is, I'm going to click on the little eyeball which hides and unhides elements in the layers. So that's the red part. Now this is the base of the card. It's the front and the back. It has the cutout. I'm going to hide the pink layer underneath. It has the cutout of the lips and the X's and O's so that when you do place the pink layer on there, it will show through. Okay, so that's one color paper and one layer of the card, and the pink is the second layer of the card. And that is just going to be glued down onto your card after we cut it out. The envelope is all one piece of paper. It has score lines that you can see. This layer right here shows where the score lines are. Okay, when we click on the full envelope over here, you will also see here that it is attached. Okay, we could come down here and choose detach if we wanted to, but if we do that, it will cause the score lines not to be in the right place when we go to make it. I chose this one because it is a very simple one. It's a great project to start out with because it is really easy. So what we're going to do now is I just want to go over a couple things here. Now, the base of the card in Design Space when you open it up is red. You can click on that little red circle and it will bring out the layer attributes. This is where you can change your layers to cut, write, score, or print for different types of projects. We're going to leave it at cut because we want to cut it out, but you can also pick a different color over here. Now, picking the colors is just a visual thing. This does not mean that when you make your card, it's going to turn it red, or if I choose purple, that it's going to turn it purple. The color of your project depends on what color material, such as cardstock, fabric, poster board, scrapbook paper, that you physically put on your mat. Okay, but this does give you a good visual on if you wanted to make a purple card, let's say with a yellow back, of what it might look like. So I'm going to put those colors back to what they are. And even though they are red and pink right now, when we go to the next step, you can put whatever color cardstock or material that you want to on your mats. So from here, I'm going to click Make It, and because there are two different colors, it's going to put things on two different mats. This is where we get to view our mats, make sure that the paper we have is the right size to go onto our mats and cut out. So you can come up here and you can see across here that this measures 8 inches across and it measures about 5 1/4 inches down. So even though it's on a 12 by 12 mat, you can place an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper on here. Or if you have a scrap piece of paper that is, say, just a little over 8 inches and maybe 5 1/2 inches, you can use that too, as long as your paper measures slightly larger than the design you're cutting out, you'll be fine. So I'm going to choose 8 1/2 by 11 for this. And I am going to cut it in red, but at this point, if I wanted to cut this part in pink, I would place pink paper on my mat, and if I wanted to cut these parts of the card envelope in red, I could put red paper on my mat, even though they're the opposite colors showing on the mat. Or I could put black or purple or whatever. So this is just giving you a visual from the canvas of what your project will look like. But at any point in time, if you want to change the color, you can put a different color paper on your mat. So from here, everything is set up. The first mat that is going to cut in the order that they are placed over here on the left is the red mat will cut first, the pink mat will cut second. If you jumped ahead and loaded your pink mat first that has the envelope and the little backing paper, don't worry. Even though this number 1 mat is set to cut first, when you come onto the Make It screen here, you can click on whichever mat you would like to cut first. So if you did load your pink mat first and you only have 1 mat to use, don't worry, you don't need to take it off and cut the red one first and switch it all out. Just click on the second mat or whichever mat you have ready to cut, and you can cut that one first. So I want to use 8.5 by 11 paper. And if I take a look at these measurements, this one in up and down direction does not go past 8.5. So I know I can do that, and it doesn't go anywhere near 11. So I know that if I place an 8.5 by 11 paper in this direction, I can cut that out. I'm going to click on the little rectangle, and if I click on this little circle where it has the 3 dots, I can choose to move it to another mat. And I want to choose to move it to a new mat. I'm going to choose the same color. It doesn't really matter what color because it's just whatever color you put on your mat. That's what it's going to cut out. But just for the visual ease of it, I'm going to click pink and confirm, and you'll see that it has now moved this little rectangle to a brand new mat. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on it and move it up here to the top, and then it is going to let me choose on this one the 8.5 by 11 paper, like so. As long as the paper is larger than your design, it's going to cut it out. So we've moved this little rectangle onto its own mat, so now we can use 2 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, or if you had a 12 by 12 piece of paper that you wanted to use, you could have left them on the single mat and then continued to cut it out of there. So let's move on over to the machine and get it loaded up and cut it. All right, so now we are going to go to our Cricut. This is the Maker, but it will work the same on your Explorer Air 2. You'll just use the dial to set your paper settings, and with the Maker, you'll set them on the computer. So over here on the computer or your phone, you're going to click continue, and today I am going to go ahead and use my USB cable because it is right here and convenient for me, and it also connects quicker and assures that I'm not going to lose connection. So I'm going to click continue, and it's going to ask me to set my materials. So over here I am going to choose light cardstock because that's what I'm using. We are set up to cut the red mat first. So there's that. And now it's telling me, it's flashing the little arrow, and it's telling me that it's time to load the mat. Now, I usually have my mats preloaded and ready to go, but I just wanted to show you how I do this. I am going to go ahead and load my 8.5 by 11 paper, and for this one, I could load it either direction because the design is not going past 8.5. So I'm going to go ahead and load it this way. And I'm using my blue mat with cardstock and paper. So I'm going to just give it a gentle push down and make sure that the edges are not peeling up so they won't get caught on anything as they're loading. And then you want to make sure that when you load the mat, your mat is going underneath these 2 little tabs. And then you also want to give it just a little bit of a nudge as it's going in. So I'm going to push the loading arrow button. And then now it's telling me that we are ready to cut. And it is also telling me that we need to load the scoring wheel. For this particular one, I'm going to change my tool, and I'm going to use the scoring stylus. So I have my scoring stylus right here. I'm going to go ahead and place it into the holder and it's clicked in there, and then I'll close it. So we're all ready to go for that. Once it's loaded and detected the tools, we are going to choose the flashing Cricut button. And you will see that on your computer screen, it shows you how much of it has been cut. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, but it at least sort of lets you know how much more you have to go. Now, as it's cutting, if you have another mat, you can go ahead and load that up and have it ready to go. But I want to show you how I take this off the mat, so I haven't loaded up a second mat. Alright, so at the end of the cut, you will push the load unload button again and bring that out. And then to get paper off of your mat, you don't just want to lift up and start pulling because you risk bending your project. So what you want to do is you want to roll the mat away from the paper. And you can actually, a lot of the times I just place it down and I actually roll the mat and then grab the paper as it starts to come off. And you'll see the little bits sometimes will stay on there, but that's okay. We're going to get the large part of the card off, like so. And then just let it go gently because it will flip. And then you can just take your bits out. And so there we have the card, and it might be a little bit hard to see here where the score line is, but we've got a score line right down there. So now I'm going to get my pieces out of the way. And one of my favorite Cricut tools is the extra large scraper. Now I applied glitter vinyl onto here just for fun, but you can just take this at sort of a tall angle here, and you'll see it'll just get rid of your little bits. So now we are moving on to the pink paper, and you'll see over here it's highlighting number 2. So we want to load up our cardstock, and if you click on it, you can see in which orientation we need to place the paper. Okay, because remember, we're using an 8.5 by 11 for this. So we're going to go ahead and place it, line it up, and if you notice, my mat is upside down. Here's the little hang tab, so this would be considered, I guess, right side up, but you can also cut on the bottom part, and this will, a lot of your projects will be cut all in one area, and the rest of the mat may not get utilized. So this area will wear out first. So if you flip your mat over and cut some things out of here, then you kind of extend the life of your mat. So now I'm going to come over here. We've got our scoring tool loaded, and we're going to click the load button there. And it is all ready. We've already selected our material, which is the cardstock. And we just click the flashing Cricut. And it scores first. And right now what it is scoring is the fold lines for the flaps of the envelope. And then it's done cutting that. So again, I'm just going to roll my mat and let that piece fall off. Now I do save a lot of these scraps because sometimes I have small pieces that I can cut out of there next time. And I'm going to go ahead and load it on this bottom side of the mat again. You'll notice if you're loading it this way too, it's in centimeters instead of inches. And we are going to load that in. Push the flashing Cricut button. and unload the mat. And again, I'm just gonna roll this. So we have our base of our card, the back part of the card that's going to get glued to here, and the envelope. And now we will assemble it. So you've got the score line here, and it gives you a better fold than if you're folding it by hand. But if you don't have the scoring tool like we talked about earlier, you would just bring it over to the half and fold it over. I also have a scoring board. This is by We Are Memory Keepers. And how this works is it has little lines all over. And what you would want to do is just line it up with the little notches that were cut out. Doesn't really matter where you're at. And you just take, this little guy hides in here, and you just take it and push down on the line to score it where you want to. And then it gives you a really nice fold like so. Okay, so those are options. If you don't have the scoring tool yet, you can just fold it by hand, and then you can use your bone folder to give you a nice little crease like that. Okay, all right, so one of my favorite products is this art glitter glue, and it does not have glitter in it, but I've used this in other videos. And so this little guy is just going to go right inside like so and peek through. So what we want to do is, I don't want to just put it on this side and glue it on, because then it's possible that some of that would come through in spots I don't want. But I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at where this is going to go. And I'm not going to go right to the edge. In fact, what I might do here is go along, let's do this, go along the edge of this. And you don't need a lot of this glue. Now you could use a tape runner for this, you know, whatever crafting glue that you like. This is just one that I like. And then I'm just going to sort of dab a couple little dots of it on these weird little spots. Like so. And I'm working on a Teflon sheet here, the same type that you would use for iron-on, because it wipes off really easily. Things don't stick to it. So that's enough in my opinion. And I'm just going to line this up and press it down. Now this dries clear, so if some of it squishes out the side, it's not going to be a big deal. We'll come over here. So you can just sort of wipe it with your finger if it squishes out. They also do make little glue erasers. So after this is dry, you can go along and actually pick up some of that extra glue if it bugs you. But there we go. See, that'll, as soon as that dries, this will just sort of roll right off. So we have that all glued down and ready to go. And then we will fold our envelope. So you just want to take it, find the score lines. And again, you can fold these by hand, because all of these folds are just where these cuts come to corners. So if you didn't have the scoring tool, you could just go along and just make sure that you are going from corner to corner there, like so. But the scoring tool does help you find those spots and just gives it a cleaner fold, like so. And we'll just take some of our glue. Now you want to make sure that you aren't extending over where you don't need this. Like so. And this glue dries really fast. Whoops, I went up a little too high. It's all right. Just wipe that off. This glue dries really fast and it's really strong. So there we are. And then the card will just fit right in. You want to be careful when you're putting the card in because it can catch on the cut pieces that are cut. There you go. Cute little Valentine card, super easy, quick to make, a great beginner project. Please subscribe to my channel. Click down below, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be alerted to new videos as I post them. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day, guys.